welcome to the garden. Today we're going to be looking at this wildflower known as climbing nightshade. It's also known as bittersweet nightshade or just bittersweet. This plant is actually toxic, so I'm using gloves to handle it today. And the berries are poisonous, although some birds can actually eat them. They're very closely related to tomatoes and potatoes. And in fact, to me, they look like sweet potatoes. They vine out. Although they don't produce tendrils like beans, they just use other plants for support. It has these really dark green, kind of heart-shaped leaves that come to a nice fine point. And the leaves lower down are heavily lobed. They actually have these little kind of extra bonus leaflets down below. The leaves grow alternate along the stem, so you get one on the right and then one on the left a little bit further up, and so on, all the way down the vine. Around midsummer they produce these beautiful little purple flowers. They have little spots on them and bright yellow stamen. Once those are pollinated, they produce these shiny little berries. Kind of look like jelly beans. They start off green, but then they turn bright red, so they may fade to yellow and orange in between. So let's see if we can open some of these up. They're very soft and juicy. And look, they have seeds a lot like a tomato too. They actually smell a lot like a tomato. And it was believed at one point that tomatoes were poisonous, just like nightshade berries. But of course we all know them to be delicious. But you definitely don't want to be eating these berries. They are poisonous. They're not quite as harmful as deadly nightshade, but you definitely still want to avoid them. I do actually like the flowers, and I even enjoy looking at the berries. But here next to my chives and our lilacs, I'm going to pull these out today. So you want to make sure to wear gloves, because even the foliage is slightly toxic. They can really vine out all over the place, and the vines get quite woody. Once we get further down, you can see they have pretty tough stems. So we definitely want to pull these out by the root. Luckily, it's pretty easy. All we need to do is trace it back all the way to where it contacts the ground, because they can often break at the stem. So it looks to be all emanating from right here. So I want to try and get the bulk of the plant in my hand, and then slowly pull out those roots. Wow, look at all of those roots. We did break off this main taproot, so that might actually come back next year. But we can just pull that out again. They're really not too tough, but they can take over pretty quickly. So you do want to pull them before they drop those berries. And here's the entire plant. So it's quite large, but it's a vine, so it doesn't support itself. It really needs something else to climb, or it's just going to grow on the ground. But if you've ever grown sweet potatoes, you might notice a similarity of the leaves. I even think they kind of smell like sweet potatoes. But the berries are actually really similar to tomatoes. So it's a kind of a strange little plant. If you look closely, you can actually see the seeds through the berry. And here are a couple individual seeds. And they're flat, just like a pepper or a tomato seed. I've just got a couple more plants to clear out, and I want to be careful not to drop those berries. Those berries are 5 or 6 feet off the ground, so they can get pretty big, but they need something to support them. Now, so this doesn't spread, I'm going to put it somewhere where it's not going to come back as a weed, or you could even throw it out and basically have it hauled away. But overall, I think climbing nightshade is a mild nuisance at most. Just remember it is toxic, so if you're going to handle it, I'd recommend wearing gloves. If you are at all worried you might have a reaction to this plant, definitely wear long sleeves as well. Because it vines all over the place, you're likely to brush up against it several times if you're removing it. But it does actually have beautiful flowers and beautiful berries. The leaves look and smell like potatoes, and the berries look and smell like tomatoes. So climbing nightshade is a very interesting plant. Just remember those berries are poisonous, and the leaves even are slightly toxic. But I hope you keep an eye out for climbing nightshade, also known as bittersweet. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.